The death of Chadwick Boseman is one of those rare Hollywood deaths that just sent shockwaves riding through the industry. Honestly, the first time I saw the headlines, I thought I had gotten something wrong. I mean, this couldn't have been right. Boseman had been a fast-rising star, from his prestige roles to starring in the first ever superhero movie to be nominated for Best Picture. He should have had a long and fruitful career, with many more performances yet to give. Yet on October 28, 2020, news came out that Boseman had been secretly struggling with cancer. But on that day, his battle came to an end, leaving Hollywood missing a talent and a billion-dollar franchise in complete disarray. Today in modern movies, we'll be looking at the recently released Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. By now, you probably have already heard that it serves as a touching tribute to Boseman. But can this movie stand on its own, as a good piece of storytelling as well? Well, after Boseman's death, there was a lot of speculation that perhaps the role would be recast. However, returning director Ryan Coogler quickly put those rumors to bed. They had no interest whatsoever in recasting the role, as they felt that it would disrespect their friend's memory, and it would be too hard on the actors who had been impacted by his death. At this time, I really did wonder if this wasn't just a completely disastrous choice, driven by emotion. After all, how could you make a James Bond movie without James Bond? How could you make Indiana Jones without Indiana Jones? And how can you make Black Panther without the titular character of Black Panther? And so let's just jump right into it. The film picks up a year after T'Challa's death from an unknown disease that he had been struggling with in secret. Sound familiar? His mother is crowned King of Wakanda as she struggles with the loss of their protector, the Black Panther, and growing international tension over vibranium. Shuri, meanwhile, struggles to come to terms with her brother's death, becoming increasingly emotionally detached and isolated. She locks herself in her lab and really just kind of buries herself in her work. When other nations try and seek out their own sources of vibranium, they awaken the underwater nation of Talokan. Talokan? Talokan. It's Atlantis. Anyways, they awaken Talokan and the wrath of their king, Namor. Namor sees a war with the surface world as inevitable and puts Wakanda on a crossroads to either ally with Namor or become the first casualty in their war. Wakanda was already this fascinating place to begin with, and the movie only builds on the culture and mythos of this hidden nation. I think the hope was that the power of this mythology would really keep people hooked and bring them back for this sequel. Not to mention just the morbid curiosity of how the hell they were even going to make this work. With a big hole left with Boseman's passing, Wakanda Forever expands its cast of characters into more of an ensemble, at least for the first 2 acts. The entire cast is bringing their A-game here, and they all deliver just great performances. This is easily one of the most dramatic and emotionally heavy of MCU movies, as it dealt with death and grief, both narratively as a theme, and then also kind of in this meta way, with T'Challa's death closely mirroring the actors. This required a wide range from everyone involved, and they all delivered. Letitia Wright and Angela Basset, playing T'Challa's sister Shuri and his mother Ramonda respectively, they both knocked it out of the park. What begins as an ensemble in the film, slowly over the course of the film, becomes more and more focused on Shuri's story. Although Wright may lack the easy charm and screen presence of Boseman, she is clearly giving the role her all and putting everything she has into it. That's not to mention how much has been said about Basset's performance, with many saying that she may deserve the Best Performing Actress nomination. Best Supporting Actress, not performing. I'm assuming that if you're acting, you're performing. We are still quite a few months out from that, so we'll just kind of have to wait and see how that all pans out and what kind of performances we get, especially as we head into Oscar season. And while I don't think I would go that far, I do think she gives a very powerful performance as a person grieving, but still very much in control of it. And then you have a big cast of returning characters as well, such as Okoye, head of the Dora Milaje, and she's still a certified badass and is good with the spear and chopping people's limbs off and stuff. She's still fun to watch, and she's as great in the action roles as ever. As for newcomer, and I'm going to butcher this name, I just know it, Tenoch Huerta Mingia. I took 3 years of Spanish, everyone. You'd think I'd be better at this. I feel bad. He gives a grounded performance as the main villain, Namor. His plan to invade and conquer the surface world can be a little of a head-scratcher. It's not exactly clear how exactly he's going to accomplish this, especially given that there's so many nuclear powers up above, not to mention the fact there's now pretty much a planet full of superheroes. Despite these questionable goals, he has solid motivation, with a backstory that plays into the film's central themes of grief and how it can negatively influence actions. This parallels Shuri's journey pretty well, so it makes a good fit for a villain within the context of this story they're telling. Unlike a lot of MCU films, it gives the villain time he needs to be compelling and menacing, but also understandable in why he does what he does. He's not somebody like Malekith, where it's just a face who pops up and goes, I will conquer the world and destroy everything because I am evil and that is what I need to do. He is actually somebody who has a purpose and goal beyond just being a, asshole? So why am I focusing so much on the characters and performances? That's because this is the defining trait that really kind of lifts Wakanda Forever above most of your usual superhero films. Here are actors who didn't just show up for the regular Disney blockbuster paycheck so that they can then go off and do something more highbrow or art house. These are actors putting their all into the film because they know it is a tribute to their lost friend and maybe the last word on his legacy, and they want to be sure to be putting forward a positive impact. And this is a standard of quality I feel that the entire film is trying to reach for. And this can make it sometimes get a little ambitious, and it sometimes reaches beyond its means. Where the original film was tightly scripted, the sequel can at times be bloated, and I certainly felt that running time going into the third act. Now don't get me wrong, that third act blows the original films out of the water. The first movie, it was almost like the budget ran out in the last 15 minutes, and all the effects artists jumped ship over to Infinity War. Here we get a fully realized conclusion, and the visuals to back up any emotional beats. And as much as I may complain about that excessive runtime, it does seem due to them wanting to make sure that they got those emotional highs and lows right. And we're going to be getting into some spoiler territory here now. Now, it's not going to be over the top, and I'm not going to ruin the whole film, but I may be giving more details than you may want to know. So if you don't want to know anything about it before going in, now's your chance. Jump ship. Ready? Good. Now, the reason I say the story mostly works is because the conflict at its core is between Namor and Wakanda, and that stuff is genuinely compelling and interesting, largely because the film took the time to make you care about the characters and the motivations moving them. My biggest complaint would be how the conflict initially is jump-started. It again goes back to the tired and true superhero formula of just chasing a MacGuffin. Need to get the characters to go do something? Put in a MacGuffin. Just have them run around in circles over and over, looking for that MacGuffin. Except this time, the MacGuffin isn't just a, piece of a thing. This time, it's an actual person, Riri Williams, the character who will become Ironheart. Riri is probably the weakest character of the film. She mostly is this Iron Man knockoff who serves to push the story forward when Namor finds out that she's created a means of locating vibranium in the ocean. And now Riri seems nice enough, and the actress isn't doing a bad job, but there's really not much here besides the fact that she likes to build stuff. That's her whole character. Tell some jokes and build stuff. She still has her own series coming up on Disney+, so there's plenty of time for Disney to flesh out her character and make her more than just a hollow imitation of Iron Man. After all, Iron Man's one of their most popular characters, so it's clear why they want to introduce another person like that, but Riri has none of that complexity that Tony Stark had. Luckily, the movie diverges quick enough from the game of Riri Hot Potato when Namor offers Wakanda to join them in a sort of alliance against the surface world to protect their joint resources. This is the real meat of the conflict, and this is the actual stuff that really works. Mostly because you have big characters with big personality butting heads against each other. And that makes for good television, I tell you what. But then there's that other big question. The one you kind of don't want to ask, but it's always kind of there. Were they successful in replacing Boseman? The answer is kind of. Like I said, the performances here are very impressive. But Boseman had this kind of natural magnetism and charisma that you can't really manufacture in a lab, which this film quite literally tries to do. And as I said, Letitia Wright, she gives a great performance, but you still can't help but feel the movie lacks a kind of just star power that Boseman just had. So I'm still left on the fence on if they should have recasted this role or not. I think that they made a good story and they had great emotional stakes, but at the same time, it may come back to bite them in the long run. This film really did have a lot of unique challenges heaped upon it. It had the death of their lead, and it had a film schedule that ran through the lockdowns of COVID. And yet, despite all those challenges, I do think the team behind Wakanda Forever, the director Ryan Coogler, to all the performers, I really feel like they managed to make a satisfying sequel that is also something special, as it pays tribute to Boseman's memory while not using it as a cynical crutch. This film really is one of the stronger of the MCU, and serves as a compelling path forward for the franchise, while being one hell of a final send-up to a man who was taken too soon. And that concludes my review for Wakanda Forever. If you have seen the film, what do you think of it? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to like and subscribe, as everyone always says, and we will see you next time. Keep those reels turning. Thank you.